What is up, you guys? Teller checking in for the recap of UFC Nashville. As you guys see, a little cloudy out right now. It's getting late. It's about 1 a.m. Monday morning. I'm staying up late. I got a full belly of some beef stew slopping around in my stomach, so take it easy on me. And, I'm a little annoyed right now, and you guys will see why here very soon. Because we should have had a solid, profitable night for UFC Nashville, but we'll wait till you hear what happened. We had 4 official plays locked in. We're going to let you guys know how we did there. Real quick, don't forget, Dana White's Contender Series takes place this Tuesday. We already have the full card breakdown here on the channel. Make sure you guys check that out. I'm excited for that season to kick back off. And then we will have Fight Night Luke versus RDA uploaded to the channel here very soon as well. And please like this video before we jump into it. And catch me on all my social media. It means a lot to me, guys. On Instagram at MMA Fortune Teller _. On Twitter at the MMA Teller. All right, guys, let's start at the bottom of this card and let's talk about how it went.
Welcome to the show. This is the MMA Fortune Teller. Yeah.
The MMA Fortune Teller.
The Teller.
So this card was pretty wild, if you ask me. It had its ups and downs. In the first fight, we had the UFC newcomer, Asu Almabayov, which Tapology spelled the name wrong there because you saw when he made his debut there in the octagon, he put a Y towards the end of his name, so that was different. But, taking on Ode Osborne, you guys know I did side with Ode here. I thought that Ode was really starting to get some momentum behind him. I like the length advantage that he had. And I did believe there was a possibility, of course, that Asu was going to come in here and be the truth and use his wrestling. The thing is he had a very padded record. He had a very padded resume. You heard the broadcast team talk about his resume. You heard Anik saying, Asu Almabayov with his 20 pro wins. And some people feel that he hasn't really been tested, but he has victories over, former Bellator champion Zach Makovsky, and he's been in there with Tager Ulanbekov, and also fought Chris Kalaitis, a former UFC fighter, a Greek Canadian guy there, if you guys remember him. Okay, Zach Makovsky was about 40 years old, and he went to a split decision with him, all right? And that was just a couple fights, 2 fights removed from the Ode Osborne fight. He went to a split decision with the 40-year-old man, and then when you want to talk about the Tager Ulanbekov fight, he got finished in that fight. He got finished, okay? He got TKO'd in that fight. So, listen, and he did beat Chris Kalaitis. Listen, I was a huge Chris Kalaitis fan, him being one of the few Greek fighters that fought in the octagon back in the day, right? We've seen a couple more now, but me being Greek-American, of course, I was rooting for him. Chris Kalaitis, I know him very well. He was not anything to talk about, okay? So let's just get that clear. Again, of course, there was going to be that possibility that he could have stepped in the cage and really started to show the ability that he has with his wrestling and this and that. Looks to be in phenomenal shape, and that's what he did. So listen, I took that one on the chin. I'll even let you guys know I had a 1-unit dog play in Ode Osborne, and I stand behind that play. I wanted to test this newcomer out, and I put a little bit of faith in Ode. I know that he's dropped the ball before. He dropped the ball here. He wasn't able to keep this fight standing long enough to really showcase his striking and start to wear on the gas tank of Asu. If he was able to stuff those takedowns, I think that that would have worn Asu, and he didn't do that at all. A 1-unit play, grabbed it at plus 155. We took an L there. Again, I knew it was a very realistic possibility. I was just targeting some value there, a very small play. Sean Woodson defeats Dennis Bazooka. I did not get this prediction out to you guys because this was a newly added match. I truly was on Sean Woodson here. You guys know I've been pretty high on him in the past. I love the range that he has for this division, the length and range that he has. He has some solid boxing skills and really overall some solid striking skills, and his takedown defense has really came along. If you take a look at some of his recent losses, he got caught with a big shot early on against, I believe his last name is Salvador, that one very funky striker, the very wild striker that throws a lot of spinning attacks. He caught Woodson early in that fight. Woodson was out on his feet and still finished that fight strongly, but I think that fight went to a draw. There was a point deducted also, but Cody Durden defeats Jake Hadley. Listen, we definitely mentioned that the betting value was on Durden. You guys know I said that. I did slightly edge Hadley. So listen, I did pick the fight wrong. I felt that. I mean, it's a fact. Hadley almost finished his fight 2 times. He had that armbar in so damn deep. He had that guillotine at the end of the first round. The bell rung. It was a great fight. I am a fan of Cody Durden as well. I think that he's a true warrior, but I'm very high in Hadley. I thought that he would have been able to keep the fight standing long enough to really showcase his boxing skills. And, he lost this fight 30-27, lost it unanimously. I don't really feel that describes what this fight was, because Hadley was in this fight. Hadley, since has talked about how he had a horrific weight cut. He needs to bump up to the bantamweight division. This is not the first time he's had issues like that. So, and Cody Durden's a problem in the flyweight division. He really is. Has the wrestling skills. He's grinding over at American Top Team. How about Billy Q getting the job done against Damon Jackson? Loses that first round. The striking defense looks horrific. He's getting tagged up on the feet. His head is not budging from the center line. And the awkward striking of Damon Jackson's landing on Billy Q. But then Billy Q just continuously was working in the clinch. And just working that body of Damon Jackson. That was a fun fight, and good work there by both men. Now, this is where my night went to shit, man. Carlston Harris pulls off the 3rd round submission, the 3rd round anaconda choke on Jeremiah Wells. And check this out. You guys got to check out my IG. Posted a funny story. Go check my story out before it fades away. But Jeremiah Wells, he messaged me in my DM because I tagged him in it, and he reshared it on his Instagram story. I thought it was pretty funny. You guys let me know what you think about that, if you caught it or if you catch it in time. And if you don't, if you're late and you're on this video a little bit later, hit me up in the comment section. I'll tell you what it was. But Jeremiah Wells is an absolute savage. Goes out there, beats down Carlston Harris the first 2 rounds, gets on top of him, showcases his jiu-jitsu skills, his power that he has, his ground and pound, all that. He's a warrior. When it comes to fighter IQ, he definitely dropped the ball. In the 3rd round, he needed to coast a little bit more, and he starts the round off throwing giant haymakers, almost twisting out of his shoes. And he wasn't even wearing shoes, obviously, but twisting out of his toenails, spinning in the octagon, and eventually forces a takedown attempt that he didn't need to, and then the long limbs of Carlston Harris pulls off that anaconda choke. It was brutal. It was my 2nd biggest play on the card. It was a minus 130 play that I targeted on Jeremiah Wells. Grabbed it at minus 130. I thought the value was so there. And, listen, I'm not going to just say I stand behind every play whenever I lose, right? When I say I stand behind a play, it means something. I stand behind that play. Jeremiah Wells was the superior fighter. I mean, if they fight 100 times, he's going to win the vast majority of those. He made a mistake, and he got caught in that sub, and it was very frustrating for me there. But we take it on the chin. All right, Kyler Phillips looked youthful against the aged and weathered Raoni Barcelos. Gets a nice victory there. Ludovic Klein takes out Ignacio Bahamendez. Hopefully not too many of you are throwing him in a parlay. A very talented fighter. You have to understand Bahamendez is just a kid. He's still very young. There's going to be some growing pains with him. Ignacio Bahamendez is still 25 years old. He will be an absolute savage when he's about 28, 29 years old. You've seen some signs of his grappling evolving too, his jiu-jitsu evolving, but he does seem to run into trouble at times with his striking defense and whatnot. He needs to sharpen some things up and keep that brain fresh. Ludovic Klein showcasing some power, fighting out of that unorthodox southpaw stance. He gives guys problems at times. He's a kind of a flaky fighter. We got another play here. Alexa Kamer, a 2-unit play I had on him. A small, very small 2-unit play on Alexa Kamer. Grabbed that at plus 145. I felt there was value on that play. I'm not a fan of Tanner Bozers. I feel like he's a flaky fighter as well. Alexa Kamer, I know he hasn't looked the best, in the 2 fights that he's had in the octagon, but in his last fight that he had, he took an L against Nikolai Negamariano. It was a split decision loss. I'm kind of high on Negamariano, higher than Tanner Bozer, quite honestly. So the fact that he was able to go to a split with him, that fight was about 2 years ago. So a young kid in Alexa Kamer had plenty of time to sharpen up his skills. He's still only 27 years old, has a good frame, former Golden Gloves boxer. Stipe Miocic raving about the training that they've been doing together in the gym, how he's a beast. I I bit the bait. All right, I got hooked on the bait, man. Listened to an interview with Miocic recently. He was really raving about Kamer, and you know what? That's alarming in my opinion for Miocic there. If he's raving about Kamer looked like absolute trash. Okay, and I thought that Bozer did too. To be quite honest, Bozer had his flurries that he landed and whatnot. Bozer's going to get destroyed by anyone towards the top of this division. So I take that L. I do not stand behind that play. I mean, I did my homework. I thought I had some insider knowledge there. Doing some research and hearing some things, but Kamer hasn't evolved at all. Super sloppy. All right, and then we talk about Diego Lopez taking out Gavin Tucker. Diego Lopez is one of my new favorite fighters in the game and in the featherweight division. One of my favorite Brazilian fighters right now. I think I'm going to be a huge fan of his for a long time to come. He's just very exciting. The way he pulled guard like that and just was going for the subs. I mean, he's a wild man. The way he was marching forward from the moment the bell rung. He's a warrior. We already know that. We saw his fight on Dana White's Contender Series. We saw his UFC debut on short notice against one of the toughest guys in the division. Now you understand that when Movsar was having those submissions attempted on him by Diego, some people were kind of questioning, is Movsar, as good as some people thought that he was going into that fight? Yeah, Movsar is that good. Movsar Avoyov, he's a very good fighter. You saw how nasty Diego Lopez's jiu-jitsu is. Okay, that's what was going on there. So then you had Dustin Jacoby getting that quick finish over Kennedy and Chekawu. Kennedy is a stud. He's going to take that loss. He's going to come bounce. He's going to bounce back. Dustin Jacoby's a stud. That was a matchup between two high-level light heavyweight fighters, and we've seen Kennedy run into trouble sometimes early on in his fights. I still think that he bounces back and gets many more victories in the octagon. Okay, so Dustin Jacoby's a stud, and it just wasn't his night. But big props to Jacoby, and he's calling out Volkan Ozdemir. I think that Jacoby needs to start making some buzz in this division. He's not young. He is 35 years old. He looks to be in great condition, in great physical shape right now. He has the striking skills. He's well-rounded. Start giving him some high-level opponents, okay? UFC, start giving this guy some real fighters there. Not that Kennedy wasn't. Just continue that to happen. All right, now we're talking about my biggest play of the night. I had a two-team parlay. You guys know what it was. It cashed here. Combined odds at -143. I took Tatiana Suarez to kick it off over Jessica Andrade. You guys know I've been saying Tatiana Suarez is going to be fighting for the belt in the near future. She's 32 years old. She's in her prime. She's got the wheels moving again. She had to kick some rust off coming off that injury and whatnot, and that long layoff. I mean, she goes in there, that's back-to-back guillotine chokes, second round guillotine chokes, back-to-back submissions there in the second round in the last couple months here, dating back to February, where she had that return fight against Montana De La Rosa. Jessica Andrade is a beast, and Suarez, she had the balls to go out there and throw some strikes with her early on too. So I like that. That was actually the longest period of time that Suarez has fought without shooting a takedown in the first round. So I thought that was impressive. The grappling is sick. Okay, so now you want to talk about what's next for her. Tatiana Suarez has the ability to fight in all three weight classes, and she has the potential to definitely snatch up some of those belts. Maybe not all of them. Maybe I'm pumping the brakes a little bit. Some of you guys might be wondering why, but if she's not able to utilize her, wrestling's amazing, but if she doesn't take down some of the top fighters in the division, she's gonna run into some trouble on the feet. I do believe that. So, for example, if she fights Zhang at the top of this division, if Zhang's able to keep this fight standing, it's a big if. That striking might be a little bit too much for her. Time will tell, though. That fight, we'll see how that fight plays out. I haven't made my decision yet. Zhang's taking on Amanda Lemos, and I think that Suarez at this point in time should just get the winner of that fight. I know Xanan Jans is in the mix as well. Suarez already has a victory over Esparza. She's coming off a loss. I mean, there's nothing really else going on here. Verna Jandiroba's coming off 2 victories. The high-caliber Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu player. Mackenzie Dern's coming off a victory. Maybe something like that's going on. That would actually be pretty cool. A high-caliber Jiu-Jitsu player, and then she takes them down. We get to see some high-level grappling going on. Wrestler versus Jiu-Jitsu player. Even though Suarez is now a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. You saw her get her black belt in the cage. I'm excited for what's to come at the top of the division now that Suarez is back in the mix. So very, very cool stuff going on there. And then we go to the main event. Cory Sandhagen, he caps off that parlay for me there, which brought in a good amount of units for me. Thought that parlay was very safe. I didn't mind that the line was kind of high on both those, and I grabbed them early enough before they really exploded. And when Cory Sandhagen went in there and got the job done, that helped brought some units back, like I said. So we just lose about 3 units in their cards. That's not too much for me. I'll snatch up 3-4 units to kick off next weekend's card. So I'm not too worried about it. And it was just the Jeremiah Wells fight, man. That's what cost me. And again, he was dominating that fight. So, but Cory Sandhagen, he's an absolute stud. I know some of you guys weren't too excited with the way that fight played out. But when you have money on a fighter and they fight an intelligent fight like that, you really appreciate it. You know, I did not want him slugging it out with Rob Font. And, you know, when you have the guy in Sandhagen who's training for Umar Nurmagomedov, you understand why his grappling looks so sharp, all right? He knows if he's going to take out guys like Merab Dvalishvili, Umar Nurmagomedov, who else is at the top of this division? I mean, you're talking, I mean, Sterling has very, very high-level grappling. O'Malley, not so much, but Sandhagen, to me, he impressed me. He has high fighter IQ, and I think that he knows what it takes to potentially snatch the belt up. And you know, I think that is a realistic possibility. It's gonna be very tough when you got fighters like Umar Nurmagomedov, Merab. Those are actually the guys that I'm more so worried about for Cory than I think that Cory, like I said, someone didn't like that I said that, but I think Cory takes the rematch with Sterling. And I also think that I would take him over Sean O'Malley as well. So I worry more so about Umar Nurmagomedov and Merab Dvalishvili. You guys let me know if you agree with me or disagree with me there. I don't think that Sterling will be the champion for much longer. I think that most likely Nurmagomedov is going to come in here and wreak havoc over the beginning of this year or the end of this year or the beginning of next year, you know? So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap up the recap. And real quick, you know, now that Cory takes that fight, who do you guys want to see Cory fight next? You know, the options that we got realistically are, does he wait for the winner of Sterling and O'Malley, which they're about to throw down here in a couple weeks? Does he fight the winner of that and get that title shot, or do you set him up with Merab Dvalishvili for a #1 contender spot? Which, you know, Merab doesn't want to fight his boy Sterling, so I mean, he wants to sit at the. Excuse me, there actually, I think there was some talks about Sterling bumping up in weight potentially, right? So there's some stuff. There's some moving parts going on, actually. I should say that. I don't know. You guys comment below if I'm wrong in that. I know there's some talks about maybe Sterling bumping up in weight eventually, maybe. So let me know who you think Cory Sandhagen should be fighting next. I want to know your guys' opinion there. All right, and comment below how you guys did. What plays did you hit? I want to know how you guys did. All right, guys. I appreciate you so much. Hit that like button on your way out. Signing out. Teller.
Welcome to the show. This the MMA fortune teller. Yeah.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.